Hey, and welcome guys to another tutorial. Now today's tutorial is going to be about doing this, a nice little zoom. Just the motion of today so that you can do that and make it look real nice in your game. Now, it's not going to be of blowing stuff up like that this time, because well, that's a whole nother subject and it deserves its own video. But anyway, let's and another video will be on dealing with how to change your crosshairs like so, and what problems you could face and all that jazzy stuff. So if you it's not your thing and everything, just don't watch or whatnot. But remember, this kit, as of this video and on, is going to be using one camera instead of two. So it's going to be a little different if you use a two camera setup. But a lot of the theory and stuff will still work if you use the two cameras. You just have to adjust the script a little bit to adjust the camera that you want to zoom and stuff. Okay, so if you are not interested, then you can exit out of the video and not watch. But oh, I still got one left. That always turns out to be fun. But let's dig in here and let's show you guys how to do a nice little zoom like I have right now. So we don't need this. We only need really into here. So let's do a little code swappy here and do the window thing. Okay, so we gotta embiggy this a little. So let's see here. What do we have? We have another function for setting our ammo to the UI, which will probably be in the next video. We grab the camera transform, just camera.me, because we only got one camera in the scene at a time. I don't know if we've done this callback yet, but in this callback, weapon move callback, we do the weapon transform, the hit position, the field of view, and the speed. Okay, I use one speed variable, aiming speed, for in and out. But if you wanted a different one, like let's say you wanted to zoom in really fast, but you want it to come out real slow, all you'd have to do is make another variable and put return speed right here or so, and it will do all the work for you. Now, there's this if statement. If we're running, if we're walking, and we changed it up. Now, careful when you get to this point, because if we're running, we don't need the rest of this. That's why I have a return here, because I want it to exit out of this function really quick, so it doesn't keep evaluating all the way down. I just have it return, because we're running. We don't need this firing or anything like that, because we're running. If we're walking, then we need the shooting logic to work, right? I mean, that's how it works. And then I have it return, because we don't need to evaluate if we're aiming, because it's already done all its stuff right there. We're not aiming or anything like that. It evaluates because weapon state dot walking, and then it's pretty much doing the same thing here when we're aiming, because the weapon doesn't care if the weapon logic itself is a switch statement. When we walk, When we're running, it just does this stuff. If we're walking, it does this stuff. Okay? Now, if we're aiming, it does this stuff. Okay? So basically, we sectioned it off into 3 different parts with if statements. Okay? Because when we're aiming, if we want to do some type of other logic, like a different kickback or just have it animate, then it would be in this section right here that we would do this. Instead of calling state.current.invoke, because we're invoking from a delegate or whatnot, an array of delegates, we could just, go anim.shoot and then call the raycast. It's not that big of a deal, right? It's not really anything. But this is an update. Now this input.weapon move callback, we changed it to give vector 3, and we only added this, okay? Now let's look at this callback right here. Very easy to use, and it's pretty necessary, okay? We'll put this here, and let's embiggen this. On late update, if it's null, then we return. If we don't have any weapon transform, we just return early, because there could be some starting issues, which start you get, things of that nature. And, I mean, this is an easy way to get this, to bail out of this very early without an error message coming. And it's very quick, too. This evaluation, real quick. Now, h.close, this is for distance, okay, for the weapon, and then we set the position, okay. But when we do a weapon callback function, we give it a weapon, a position, field of view, speed, and a sprite. Okay, what sprite do we want? And we set it here. Okay, we set it in these variables right here. Okay, and if weapon cam equals null, we do this stuff. We grab it because we only got one camera in the whole game, which is ours. And if you have other cameras, okay, and this is very important too. If you can have more than one camera tagged as main, but it will always grab the first one that it can find. Okay, so every camera will be inside of an array. Okay, but the first active camera that's tagged camera.main, that's the one that it'll grab. Okay, so it could be any of them in the scene. But let's say you have a main camera on your like your starter scene, that shows everything that needs to come around. And then after 5 seconds, you're going to be spawning your player. You can have it on the, your preview thing, use the camera.main tag, but before you spawn the player, go camera.main.disable it. Just disable it entirely. And then when you go to the player itself, when you spawn the player, he can still do camera.main as a function, but the thing is, because the other one is disabled, it'll only grab the active one. Okay, so keep that in mind. So weapon set position, we still call it the same, okay? But because this is a script here that does stuff, okay, it will do functions inside of it because it's privately owned. All these are private variables, okay? They're private to this class itself. We have to go and set things a certain way. See how this sprite's private? This is only to go up to our setter. This is a public get and set. We return this aim, okay? And we set this aim, but we can also grab and put a function in here. Set crosshair. Okay, so this function right here didn't change as much, just a few more variables. Okay, and that's great, but the weapon set position didn't change whatsoever. Okay, this function right here, when this gets called, it will set our weapon position just fine. Okay, but we have another function in here that does our field of view. Okay, and notice how these variables are not used up here in the overload. It's because we already have the values. All we're doing is using this call to slowly mathf.lerp the field of view. Because it's a float, it will use just a float variable going from 0 to whatever. I think the camera goes all the way up to 150, I think, or something like that. But it's the camera's field of view. So if you don't know, let's make sure that you actually know what I'm talking about. When you go up to your main camera, okay, you'll have this camera here. We'll turn on a field of view here, okay, and that's kind of weird, but I guess I'll deal with it. So you got your camera here, okay, and your field of view is this, okay, and what it does is it zooms the camera out real big like this, or inward like this. It's like the focus length, okay? Now, most games, people like to set it about 100, which kind of looks weird to me. So I don't know if it's truly 100 field of view or not, but I felt that 60 worked just fine, okay? 60 worked just fine. It looks good to me and everything else. But when I zoom in for my zoom and stuff, I'm like right up here at like 20. Now imagine the placement being where it should be and everything, which, you know, I mean, that's the whole point. Okay? And this perspective and orthographic, in the first person shooter, I don't think you'd use orthographic at all, because that just seems weird to me. But in the calling mask, I don't have to mask out the weapon, okay? Because I'm using two cameras. I can have everything render that I want. Okay, and the near clipping plane is for the near sighted stuff. Okay, see how my weapon disappears right here? That is for the closest, you know. I always just put mine 0.01. Okay, now the far is how far you can actually see. Now I'm just going to put it at like 10 just to give you an example. See how this line right here is that? That's how far I can see. And I just increase it and blah, blah, blah. Now, if you're worried about rendering too many objects on the screen all at the same time, your FPS is going down, there is a solution for you, okay? Put this back 100 because that seems like a nice. Okay, and it's dealing in script. In script, I have a thing that's it deals with calling, and I'll show you the code for that. What calling does is I can actually put a view distance of how far I can see stuff per layer. So notice how I've got these room items right here? Well, in room items, I don't think that I should be able to see those items until like I'm really, really close. And I can fine tune these per level, okay? And what I'm going to do is, for room items, I think if I am anywhere between, let's say, 40 units or even 20, I think they should render. I mean, I think they should show up, pop in my screen a little bit, and things like that. Because if we're in a situation where we're going into buildings, we're not going to really need to see those type of items until we're like in the building, right? In buildings, they're usually, the rooms are relatively small, so we can have this clipping thing way down there, like 10, okay? Because we're going to go into a door, and then they can all be popped in there. See, this doesn't use what we can actually see right now, okay? See, if I had a wall like right here, like right in front of me, it will still pop in, but we won't be able to see it yet. You see what I'm saying? Is basically take our guy right here. Okay, take our box right here. And imagine, where's our guy? Okay, we have our guy right here. All right, and then we have our box. Whoa, that went really fast. Okay. And let's just size this thing up real big. Whee! It's a big box. It could happen, right? All right. Well, with Oculus calling and that masking and everything else, we'll go around the corner here, and, well, it's so close and everything else. But let's imagine our guy is, you're walking along, this is a wall, and you're going to go around this, right? Because you need to go around it to get to the box right here. Well, you can have your clipping to a specific amount where this doesn't spawn into the world until you get to maybe like right here. See, you can't see this yet because there's a wall in front of you, right? But what that calling distance will do is it'll queue up and go, hey, my player is within this amount of distance. I need this to render, okay? And the beauty of, and you're probably asking, why would I do that? Because here's the thing. For every object on that screen, your graphics card is like just trying to hammer away. Whether your view is this, or, this will tell your graphics card, render this and this, okay? It doesn't care that you can get a view like this and you're like, oh, I can't see that small box. That's the point. Your graphics card will still render this, all right? It's still doing per objects and everything else. That's one reason why, when you're in a room on some of these other games, you're like, where's my FPS going? I mean, there's nothing on the screen. This is an empty room. Why should it just, why am I getting 30 frames a second? It's not because of the room that you're in. It's whatever the view says. Now, when it comes to this viewport right here, see how this little square here is with these little lines? Okay, this is what the game is saying. Hey, I'm rendering all this crap. Okay, it doesn't matter if the player can see it or not, I'm rendering it. And you're like, well, I could just put my clipping really small, right? Okay, well, let's put it really small. Oh, guess what? You can't see the, the walls and stuff that's in a distance now. So this ain't no good. That's why I say the calling per layer is better to use, because you want to see the walls and stuff, but you don't want to see the room items yet until you're close enough. And I hope that makes sense and everything, because, if not, that's a big old tangent. That's a waste of your time. But let's go into code and see what I'm talking about. Okay. Now, there is another video on my channel for this and everything, but I think this is something that should come back again. Okay, because it is important and it should be used, I believe. Okay, and we have, is it in utilities? It's probably in utilities, matter of fact. War utilities. Go to declaration. Okay. So rangefinder, no. War clamp, no. Play audio. Oh, it's camera calling range. And all this is it has to be 32 in length. And my function is designed so if it's not 32, an array, it takes an array, which is camera ranges. Every layer, you can assign a range to how close or how far you want stuff to render. Like, let's say the first layer, the default layer, you want 1,000. You want to render all those walls and everything else. But the stuff that you want that's individual pickups, you only want them to be within 200, okay? So as soon as it gets inside of the 200 range, it will give you that rendered on the screen. And the savings from doing this is beautiful. Because here's what happens. If it's not rendering it, your GPU, your graphics card, will save a whole lot of time. So you can use that graphics processor to, better models, more vertices on the screen. Like if you're hurting for, because your guns use like, let's say 40,000 polygons or something like that, which sounds ridiculous to me for that many polygons, but let's say you want to use a very high poly model. Well, the ranges and everything will help you with that. And you're like, well, how many times can I call this? It only needs to be called once, okay? But inside the scene, you can do a trigger or an event of some kind and change it at runtime, and it will not hurt your game, okay? You can have in one spot where they have like sick amount of range, like an open field, and then when they go into a building, they have like hardly anything, right? And let's say you have a terrain, okay? Well, you have problems because your custom trees, there's too many trees on the screen, and a lot of times, that's a big issue. Now, by using a range on your camera to render maybe below 100, all those trees will be less of a problem because less of them on the screen. Because after 100 feet or so, you really can't see that far, right? In your actual range of your person. All right, so if we limit certain things on the screen, then we get a little bit more performance out, keep that 60 frames a second, or maybe you want it to run 100. This could help. So we have our callback here, which this will give you the hit position, okay? But in the weapon script somewhere, where did I put it? Okay, I put it down here. Okay, hit position. You put some type of value. These serialized field things, they are private still, but you can see them in the inspector. That's the only reason. And I have these privately owned to this script right here. And then this range attribute is for a slider, float, aim speed, and this sprite to this sprite. And you're probably like, well, I didn't see the function to change the sprites. And you're right, you don't really see it. And I put this on enable here because every single time this game object is instantiated, turned on. I shouldn't say instantiate, turned on, we pull out our gun and, we activate the game object. This will be called, okay? And I want to set the firing stuff for, and this is the easy way, like a pull out animation and everything else. Well, it needs time to finish or it's going to look really weird. Your animation is going to come out, he's going to pull his weapon out, but he can already fire, which would be kind of dumb, right? So I used the fire time, increased it so he can't fire every single time he pulls out the gun. So it gives the animation, a nice little cushioning pad to do something. And I use this here because I don't want to make more stuff, okay? This is a nice, clean, easy way to keep me from firing and everything. See, if I do reload, that's fine too, because the reload, the animator itself will take care of that for me. Okay, so let's say I want to pull out the gun. Well, even if I hit the reload button, the animator is going to crossfade into the animation, okay? And it's going to have the entire reload do its job, okay? We have a specific function just for reloading. So it's going to do its job with all the timing and all that stuff. So this is a static function under the slot UI managing, the static function, and we set the ammo that's on the screen because we shouldn't track the ammo in any other place. I mean, it's kind of dumb, right? So I just have it set here. Now that might change in the future. And I have this bob right here. If you're wondering what this is for down here. You see Sarah, then you see Bob. These can be different characters, okay? What these characters can do. And I can program these, hardcode them into the class and go, hey, let's do Sarah's stuff. Let's do Bob's stuff. And all I'm doing is changing everything right here. Now I could use some type of scriptable object or something, but I found that it would be easier just to make it right here. Because this class is responsible for this, and we can make as many functions in this as we want. Yeah, it's kind of hard-coded, but if you think about it, once you make your character, you're going to know what you want anyway. And here's the great thing about it. Bob right here, he's only got one firing state. Okay, this automatic stuff. Okay, but Sarah is a weapons specialist. She can have a grenade on the bottom of it, fire, and we're assigning functions that exist in the class. See, firing, it exists here, okay? Rigid body, that could be a grenade or maybe a stick, it all depends on how you write your classes. Or, you could use a lot of anything. This weapon select mode, this is to change states in between firing and, it could be a single shot or it could be a rapid fire or, like I said, a grenade. You just have to write it into this kind of weapon script. See, this is named Auto Light Basic because I want it to be a basic automatic weapon or a single shot, okay? It's very common in the game for it to be a single shot, okay? So if I want a single shot, all I'd have to do is use Bob, or maybe he's got Bob level 2. It wouldn't be that hard to put a switch statement in here and make it individual like we did up here. Say instead of input weapon state aiming, just put Bob level 1. Boom, there you go. Bob level 2. Not hard. So let's go into the managing here. Okay. Now we have a static reference right here, myself, and then a static health text. And you're probably thinking, well, why don't we just make this static and not have this? Well, the problem with that is if you make this text right here static, it will not show up in the inspector. And then how are you going to fill it? Okay? It kind of makes it kind of dumb when you can't fill something out because you made it static or whatnot. And this is private too. We can only change it within here. Okay? We have our text, and then we have game object can't, menu, and then we have a crosshair. Well, we set ourselves on enable, and then in the static update UI, we update the health and ammo. Okay, we got a float distance, range, and this is for changing the color of our, actually this isn't for that. We need that to go away. That's entirely on something else. But this static right here, this is to set the ammo text. Okay, and we update the UI. That's why the update UI is static, so we can call functions inside here. Because we only need one of these. Even in a multiplayer game, you're only going to have one like ammo thing. Okay? So this will also work for multiplayer. You know, you just have to change out how somebody can update. So we go health text equals ammo, and then we update. Very easy. I also got a health one right here, but the problem is I haven't integrated health into it. But the one you're wanting to see is this crosshair set. In the updates, remember this self right here? This is the static reference to ourselves. Okay? Then we put crosshair.sprite equals new crosshair. Now you're probably wondering, why don't we just write this to ourselves? You know, just go self, blah, 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 and there. I want the function to be here because if I go and put something else in here, it will update every single script, okay? Like, let's say I go delete, update, invoke, go, dot, link, something, okay? I don't want to go through every single one of my different kinds of weapon scripts because I don't have to. Most of the time, if I need to do something, I'll do it here in this function right here. Because if I do it in this function, it will update every single weapon script that I have. Just like I had it set ammo. Okay, if I wanted something else to happen here, I don't want to paste this in every single weapon code that I have. That's just dumb, right? I mean, why would you want to sit there and change how the stuff is displayed on every single weapon? Why don't you just pass how much you've got into the UI system, you know, our UI system, and then have the UI system take care of the rest. You know, offload all that junky, logic stuff for updating the UI into a UI system instead. Now, this is a public static is menu open and stuff like that. This is for getting a bool so we can do a check. Like, if is menu open equals true, blah. I think it goes in our input system here. Inputs, so we can't do something. Is it... I think it's... Let's see. I think it's actually in this class right here. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's in this class that we do this. Block, mCursor, not here, not here. It's probably here somewhere. This is where we're over a menu item. Ah, here we go. On the key up, if we're in a menu, then it does what it needs to do. Okay? Yeah. And that's for the up key. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And we got this one here, too. If we're over a menu item, tell the cursor lock to be false and return. Just bail out of it early. And if we're not over a menu item, it does all this logic. That makes a lot of sense. But why do I have this here? Item. I'll have to check on that. Doesn't make sense to me. And m.lock equals this. We're setting it in our input system, get lock. So that way we can do comparison. Because this input class right here, this gets shot across a lot of different classes. Which we're going to do a major refactor pretty soon for a lot of that. But the problem is, I just haven't done it yet. Because it's going to be a big refactor of like every script that we wrote so far. And make it look like it's 1, but it's actually like about 5, using inheritance. Okay? It'll be kind of a long looking script, but when coding for it, you can overwrite it in certain ways. Basically like we do a lot of this. This one has a lot of our functions in here that we want, and then use our weapon class. It inherits from it, but look, light rifles. This class has hardly anything in it. I mean, what, maybe, let's say it has 186 lines of code. But you know, a lot of the other code that we're calling is from someplace else. But that's what this weapon ammo thing is for. We can call these simple functions. And you're probably wondering why I go -1. It's a timing issue, okay? By the time this updates, it hasn't done everything that it needs to do yet. So I do -1 because the UI system, if I don't do this, it'll be off by 1. I won't be able to use the very, very last one. So our ammo count is actually 0, but the UI system will say it has 1 because internally it'll update faster than the UI system. So I do -1 and it corrects everything. Very easy, and it just doesn't seem right, but it works out just fine. So what else can we talk about? I think that's about it. I mean, we set the ammo. This isn't a reload, so it'll be fine. I believe. Yeah, I believe it'll be fine there. Weapon select. Yeah, I think we're pretty good. Oh, this aim used to be just an aim value here, like here, but I changed it to be a get and set so that we can do this, set the image. Because this only happens once. When we hit the aim and we change the value, it is doing a setter, okay? So when we set it, it only happens once. It's not doing it every single frame. And we take the image that comes from, it should be here, the crosshair image. It gets set one time. And then it will just change the sprite on the screen, because this is a static just function. It's like calling vector3.0, or let's give an example. Let's say vector3 go equals new vector3, and then you write stuff in here, right? Like 10.10.10. Okay, and these are all floats. And then you put your curly things. See how we've got this? This is a function call into the vector class. It goes vector3 and you're setting something, okay? It's the same thing. Or like we have right here, late update, or see this weapon set, and you're pushing in values, and this weapon set function does everything that we need. Same concept. Weapon callback, you know, it's relatively very simple coding, and it takes care of all the stuff for us. And like I said, right with this sprite thing, it takes care of all that sprite stuff that we need done. I mean, there's no sense in having this function call in our weapon script. Just have our weapon script give the information that this class needs to put it up on the screen, and then let this class do everything. Very, very easy. And this gizmo, oh, that's for something else. Okay, so I believe that's everything for the zooming and for calling mask. And I described why this is important. I also described the how to lerp your field of view, okay? With this right here, this is a camera variable, okay? Field of view, it's just like going camera, let's do camera dot main dot field of view equals 20f. Okay, same thing, except we're using our variable because we're using this a lot, so you should put it in a variable. You know, don't like get component every frame or anything silly like that. Okay, this is just setting it with, you know, no smoothing or anything like that, but you know, camera variable main just grab stuff, and you can just do dot something. Okay, and this mathf.lerp, there's plenty of documentation about lerping variables from vector3 to just floats. That's all mathf.lerp is over. It's for single variables. You know, you've got your vector3.lerp, okay, that's one, and then you got mathf.lerp, okay, then you got a color dot lerp. Or do you still have to go through, or is it color 32 dot, yeah, color 32 dot lerp. Okay, there's plenty of lerps, and lerping colors is a little weird if you're not used to it as well. But you can lerp from one color, like let's say green to blue to red. You know, you just have to work with the overloads of it. It'll tell you when you get to a spot like this. Okay, it'll say color 32, and then time. You know, just like lerping a vector 3. Very, very simple. So yeah, I think you'll be fine. And like I said, into the weapon script here, okay, this is aiming. Okay, you can always put a different, like, aim speed, and then when you're going to walking, you can have a return speed here. You just have to make another float, okay? And the only reason I didn't do it is because it looks pretty good using one single variable, and that'll save, you know, on memory. But if you find that, like, you want speed when you're trying to zoom in, like really, really fast, but when he zooms out, you want a different speed, all you gotta do is, you can even do this if you really wanted to. You can have it divided by and a half, okay? Divided by 2, 1.5, you know, whatever. It just cannot be divided and return 0, okay? Because it will give you an error. But just for heaven's sake, let's see what this works as, okay? We'll go back over to Unity, okay, just to show you this works just fine. We're gonna hit play, and it's gonna go slow because it's compiling, and I'm also recording and stuff. But okay, done compiling, and you'll see it zooms in real quickly, and it's kind of slow on the yeah, it's kind of slower on the return. I might like that actually. But yeah, I think this tutorial has gone by long enough, and I hit the subject that I wanted. Oh, and this error, I'll show you what this error is all about. You'll see I got an error here. This is because my gun is enabled. Okay, so if I don't do that and I clear, I won't have that error out. It has to do with timing and stuff. Okay, which is on first or the other. Now you see this box here. We're gonna boom, boom. Yeah, I just had to do that for the ending. But thanks guys, and just to let you know, I have other videos in mind and stuff, and other videos on the channel. So thank you very much, and I appreciate your time. And if you're wondering where the video for the single camera is, it's in my channel. It's public and everything else. You should be able to see it. But I'll see if I can put a link to it in the description. But thanks for watching. Like, hit, subscribe, and this is Wardon over and out.